Let's jump right into it. Today and tomorrow. Track against the London Spitfire. I want to say it's going to be close. Probably not going to be close, though. It is interesting, though, that for week 3, they've now flipped the map 1. Say map 1 is either Junkertown or Dorado. Well, now map 1 is Eichenwald. So that's going to be the Eichenwald-Numani slot. And then game 4 is going to be Junkertown and or Dorado. But for this match, they have Eichenwald first, then Horizon Lunar Colony, Oasis, and Junkertown. I think the Shock are definitely improving. I think they're a pretty solid team. But the Spitfire are near the top. We did see the Spitfire struggle in Eichenwald last week. They lost to the Valiant on this map. This is one of those where I'm tempted to give Shock a map, especially since the Spitfire have times where they lapse, kind of, when they don't perform well. Then they kind of get rolling again, and then they're unstoppable. I'm going to say Spitfire 4-0, though. Shock will keep a couple maps close. But I think the cohesion, the talent disparity, and everything like that, I think it skews way more towards Spitfire. So we got a 4-0 on the first match. Speaking of 4-0, the shortest predictions that I'm ever going to do, probably, match number 2, Shanghai Dragons versus Dynasty. Dynasty 4-0. Moving on, match number 3. That matchup, it's the worst team versus the best team. So, yeah, not even going to go through the maps in that one. The Dynasty, it's an easy 4-0. Match 3 should be the closest match of the day, I would hope. Maybe the Shock will give the Spitfire a run. That it could happen. So we got Battle of the LA teams. LA Gladiators against LA Valiant. They played in the preseason, and the Valiant won 3-1 pretty easily. Map number 1 is Eichenwald. Map number 2 is Horizon Lunar Colony. Map number 3 is Helios. Map number 4, Junkertown. Spitfire all day. Yeah, I think they'll go to 5-0. I think this is a good match for them. Anyway, we got the Valiant and the Gladiators. As you all know, I'm a Gladiators fan. I would love to see them beat the Valiant. I think they're definitely improved from the preseason, but the Valiant are improved too. And the problems with the Gladiators have usually been attacking. They've become very good at the map 3s, like your Helios, your Oasis. I really like their performance on those maps, and they're solid on the 2 capture points, like Horizon for this match. But I think what they've really struggled is on maps like that when they've played against the Excelsior, when they played against the Destiny or Dynasty. I always call them Destiny. They've struggled on attack mostly. So I'm interested to see what kind of strategies they pull out on those. Hopefully they can either come up with a new team comp that works better for them, or shuffle up the lineup a little bit. They only have 7 players, so they can't shuffle it that much. But we'll see. And then the Valiants, they're really strong team. They're 2-2, but they're a lot better than that. I think the Valiant win this one, unfortunately. I'm going to say the Valiant take the first 2. So the second game especially is going to be very close. And I think the Gladiators will take game 3. The Valiant have struggled a little bit on King of the Hill maps, so I think the Gladiators can take that map. But then I get the Valiant closing it out on Junkertown, unfortunately. This is one of those where I hope I'm wrong. I could see this going to a 5th. If the Gladiators play well, I think they can compete and send it to a 5th map. But we'll see. And I got the Valiant over the Gladiators 3-1. So not a whole lot of close games that day. Moving on to Thursday, we have the Spitfire again. They're playing against the Boston Uprising. I feel kind of bad for the Uprising because they've competed in every match they've been in, but a couple of the close ones they've come out they've come out just short. Like they lost to the Fusion last week, 3-2. It was a very close game. Um, so we got Uprising, Spitfire. They're going to be on Numbani, Temple of Anubis, Ilios, and Junkertown. There's not too much to say about this one. Spitfire is definitely a stronger team overall. Uprising have looked all right on Numbani, but I think that the Spitfire, it'll be their second day in a row. But I don't think it'll be a huge deal. They're the first match both days. I think Boston will find a way to take a map here, but it's going to be Spitfire 3-1. If I had to say, I'd probably actually give the Uprising game 2. I think they could eke it out on Temple of Anubis, but we'll see. Definitely got the Spitfire winning that one though, and going to 6-0. Speaking of undefeated teams, next we have the Philadelphia Fusion at the New York Excelsior. So we got the 4-0 Excelsior and then the 2-2 Fusion. Two good teams in this one. I like the Fusion a lot. I think that they're a rising team and that they'll be at the cusp of making that last playoff spot. They'll be like in the 5 to 7 to 8 range, like 5 through 8, I guess. And it just depends on how they perform against some of the other teams that are bunched up near them. If they can squeeze it out. And I think that New York has looked pretty good. They've looked really good on pretty much all these maps that they're going to play on. They have Numbani, Temple of Anubis, Oasis, and then Dorado. Excelsior, they've dropped 2 maps all the whole season. It's pretty bad. They've won easily every game. The closest one was them beating Uprising 3-1, and that was not that close. So I think the Excelsior take this one, and then I think it's a 4-0. The Fusion will keep the games close, but in the end, the Excelsior will edge them out every time. Not a lot of close matchups these first 2 days. I'm realizing that more and more. And I obviously I could be wrong, but how a lot of these teams match up, I like a 3-1, 4-0 for a lot of them. Then the last match of Thursday is the Florida Mayhem against the Houston Outlaws. So the Mayhem got their first win last week. They pretty much dismantled the Dragons to go to 1-3. The Outlaws started 0-2, and they came back strong, and they crushed the Dragons and then the Fuel. That's right. So they're 2-2 now, looking stronger every game. And again, don't think this one's going to be close. We have Numbani, Horizon Lunar Colony, Ilios, and then Junkertown. I think it's an easy win for the Outlaws. I think again 4-0. I haven't done many 4-0s the last few weeks, but they're more common than I thought they'd be. And I think this is definitely a good candidate for a 4-0. Mayhem have looked pretty weak all season, and the Outlaws are really hitting their stride. And they go to 3-2. These games are a little interesting because you have the Spitfire playing twice. I think they're the only team that plays twice. But Friday, Saturday, there's going to be a lot of very close games, I think, if we look at the matchups. But of course, I'll talk about that in the video on Friday. So that's it for this one. Quick recap: I got the Spitfire over the Shock, got the Dynasty over the Dragons, got the Valiant over the Gladiators, then have the Spitfire over the Uprising, the Outlaws over the Mayhem, and the Excelsior over the Fusion. Alright, this video is a little shorter. I'm not going to do players to watch or anything like that, because these games, I think, are going to be pretty straight up. I think that the discrepancies of skill between the teams are all pretty well known and have been shown. But we'll see. Maybe there will be some upsets this week. Maybe some of the teams that I predicted against will come out firing and get some map wins and maybe win the series. But that's it. That's it for the video. I think this might be the shortest one yet. that's good. They kind of go on and on sometimes. So, thank you for tuning in. Enjoy Overwatch League these next 2 days. Good luck if your team is playing, unless it's the Valiant Go Gladiators. And I'll see you in the next video on Friday.